teleconference. It's the first time I'm doing this. And it was Yata the Shmai that I should help that we should have at Sluchi Gedoyle. As usually, I give a disclaimer in the beginning that I am not a life insurance agent, and nor am I a legal financial advisor. I am not a huge expert in stocks. I don't know all the stocks and I don't know all the symbols. However, what I do have is information that's very important that I will bring for the people over here listening into this conference. And b'siyata d'shmaya, we hope everybody is going to be able to take out from this conference as much as possible. As I start the conference, I do this le'eli nishmas, my three brothers that passed away. I have a brother, Yitzil Yehuda ben Avrum Eluzar Levi. He was a bucher of 21 years old when he passed away. And he did not get married, he didn't leave over any children. So le'eli nishmusai, I do the part of how to put away money in order to marry off your children, b'chuv gedoyle. Then I had a brother, Shlomo Dov ben Avrum Eluzar Levi. He was a Melamed Telaikis. He was a Rebbe in Chayda. He was 44 years old when he passed away. He left over an Almuna with 13 Yisoimim, had no life insurance. There was a $100,000 policy that the yeshiva had. So I decided to take upon myself to go out and give a little bit knowledge about life insurance in the Shmusai. And then I had a brother, Yosef ben Avrum Eluzar Levi, that just passed away a few months ago. He was also not an older person. He passed away in his young years, in the high 60s. And Lili Nishmusa will talk about retirement, Saiva Toiva. So I have 4 topics what I talk about. My first topic is called Living Responsible, the responsibilities of a Yiddish Tata and Mama. The second part, once I finish the part basically of living responsibilities, I go into the part of how to put away money and how to save money for when you need to marry off your children, bar mitzvah, simchas, v'kedoyme. Third part is Saiva Toiva, retirement. I speak about retirement and the importance of it. And the fourth part is Achras Hayumim, life insurance. So I will start with part number 1, which is the responsibilities of a Yiddish Tata and Mama. As everybody knows, the expenses today's days, the grocery bills are exuberant. Expenses of life are extremely high. And we are struggling to make ends meet. A lot of people are hardly covering their daily and weekly and monthly budget. And when you start talking to them that they need to save money for marrying off their children, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't even have enough money to cover their daily budget, and you're talking about putting away money. So I want to start with the topic of credit cards. I will give a little akdoma before the credit cards, explaining what money is, the importance of money, and the koyach of money. In the olden days, b'may Chazal, when we wanted to buy something, there was such a thing as a trade. Someone was growing apples, he traded with someone that was growing wheat. Someone that was growing wheat was trading with someone that was milking cows, was the winemaker. Everybody was trading with each other. In Chazal, it says, Kinyan Chalipen, Kinyan Mashiach, Kinyan Hagbua. There was no such a thing as making kinyunim with money. Then in the later ages, money started becoming a zach. It became coins. There was golden coins, silver coins, copper coins, precious metals, and the value of a coin, of a golden coin, was able to buy, let's say, a pound of apples or whatever it is. A silver was able to buy a little bit less. Copper was able to buy a little bit less. And this is how trading started going away from product to product versus gold to product. As civilization developed, we started having coins with signatures, pictures of kings and queens of kingdoms, and it wasn't only the gold part of it, but it was the value of the coin started having with whoever produced the coins. Then the later years we came to America, we were down in the later years, we started trading. The coins were totally non-precious metals. It was truly on the coin based on what the government decided is. It's either a quarter, a dime, a penny, a nickel. Now we have this notes, started coming out notes. The first note was a gold certificate. The first dollars that came out was gold certificate notes. Then it went away from gold certificates to numbers of $100 note, a $50 note, $20 note, $10, $5, and so on. And it was called green dollars. As we all knew, all the olden age, we used to have green dollars. Today's days, all those notes are history by now, by most people. There's new currency called plastic. The plastic, a credit card, and if you're a little better, you have a metal credit card. But Al Capunim, it's a credit card that we started living off. What the credit card did to us, took away the total value of money. As if in the beginning of Chazal times, if you knew the value of apples was wheat, or was it milk, or was it whatever, and then the gold was trading, and you knew the value of gold, this is the money was. All of a sudden, the plastic is the currency, and we don't know what we're doing. So when someone goes into a grocery, fills up a shopping cart, it fills up a full shopping cart, he doesn't know the prices for nothing, because you walk in the groceries, none of the shelf has prices, everything is priceless. You want to go ask the store a price of something, he looks at you like you're from the moon. What are you asking the price about? And when I was younger, we used to go by, we had to make a decision. Was it an Unger's mayonnaise or was it a Lieber's mayonnaise? And we would start looking at the prices. Which one was 5 or 10 or 20 cents cheaper we bought. Today's days has nothing to do. I like this, I buy it, I don't, goes into my shopping carriage. So let's take in Geman, a couple that earns $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week. He has a nice job, he's making $2,000 a week. He starts his shopping spree and he goes out with his credit card. He got paid his $2,000, his $1,500. He goes into the grocery, fills up his shopping cart. Clients came out with a new ice cream into the shopping cart, new potato chips into the shopping cart, everything into the shopping cart. By the time he reaches the cash register, he doesn't even look. He doesn't even look at the cash register's number. He just takes his card and swipes it through. Then goes to the fish store, and then goes to the butcher, and then goes to the wine store. In a so geht es von einer Sache zum Zweiten, man hackt Stücke. Totally out of control. We have no idea what we're doing. And this is the same for men and the same for women. I'm talking for the whole family wise. We just go from one thing to the other. By the time it's the 30th of the month, kimt a geschwollene, huge credit card bill arrives. And man hat sich kratzen am Kopf, and you start asking these questions. My God, what happened here? You know, all I'm earning is $1,000, $1,500 a week, and all of a sudden my credit card bills is here $8,000, $10,000. And we read noch an Erev Pesach, an Erev Yom Kippur, a Rosh Hashanah. You start buying matzahs and wine and clothing. And so all the tzuras, everybody has now the Amazon app on their phone, and you just press the button and it goes again and again and again without stop. The Amazon trucks are delivering on a daily basis boxes to your door. You're totally out of control, you're totally out of money, you have no idea what you're doing. The bill comes to the end of the month, comes a bill of $8,000, $7,000, $10,000. All you earned was $5,000, $6,000 for the month. And you start kratzing your cup, where do I pay this? So they came into a gewaltige patent. The credit card companies, the banking, it's not enough that they took away the value from us and they took away our own control of self-control. They made a new thing, it's not a new thing, it's since the credit cards are out, and it's minimum payment. So you see a minimum payment of $500, you have a $10,000 bill, you see a minimum payment of $500, And you feel, okay, fine, Baruch Hashem, I don't have to come with $10,000, I pay $500. The boy say, $500 payment. The interest rates on credit cards is between 22 and 30%. It's eating us up alive. He pays $500, comes next month, they go on a shopping spree again. We start from the beginning, the ganze Masse, the ganze Knack. By the time you're 6 months in, your credit card bills is so geschwollen, you have no idea what's the tist mit sich, the minimum payment again and again and again and again and again. I have an uncle of mine told me last week a story. He's an older person and is a leftover, a good person. And someone besmedish came over to him and machasana, he needs money. He says, I can't give you money. So at least borrow me your credit card. If I can borrow your credit card, I got to do shopping for the chasana mitzvah, I'll pay it back to you. And this Ingeman put up onto his credit card $14,000, over $14,000. My uncles is angezinnt, my vetters is angezinnt. Asked the guy for money, hat nicht hand, hat nicht morgen, come tomorrow, come ahead, come ahin, al kapuna. My uncle started paying the minimum payments, the interest. He paid $350 a month. He paid for 2 years, $350 a month. He ended up paying $7,000 to $8,000 in interest, and the balance was still at the same balance as the $14,000. So the boy said, you hear? 2 years paying, balance is still the same $14,000. It's estem off alive, eating him up alive. Baruch Hashem, he went to a gemach. He took out a gemach for 2 years. He wrote checks of $600 for 2 years, or 2.5 or 3 years, whatever it was. Baruch Hashem was able to pay back his loan. But as I geht es von einem zum zweiten zum dritten, as many speeches I gave, as many drushes I gave, by every speech I have people coming over telling me their sad stories about the credit cards. The same situation should be with Ingeman. A family would decide, let's put our credit card aside. Let's stop using the credit card and let's try it for a month, okay? Let's take all the credit cards, everything, put it away aside. And let's start living off cash. You get paid on a Thursday, on a Friday, whenever your money gets into your bank, whenever you get your direct deposit, go to the bank, take out a few $1,000s, put it in a box in the house, and tell everybody, the whole family, this is how we are paying our groceries, this is how we're paying everything we're shopping is from this cash. Start spending this way the money. You will see a huge difference in your weekly and monthly expenses. You can imagine the same Ingeman that we spoke before that goes into the grocery, fills up his shopping carriage, and he swiped through $700 or $800 his credit card bill for the groceries. The same Ingeman puts in his pocket $700 or $800. He has his envelope of money that he got from work. And he gets up to the cash register, and the cash register rings him up $750. He takes out that envelope. All he has is $1,200 because this is as much as he made this week. He starts counting 100, 200, 300. By $400 bill, his fingers are starting to tremble. By the 500, when he starts looking at the envelope, what he has left in there, he says, okay. Let me see. Maybe I could put back the ice cream. I don't need this most expensive new ice cream. I don't need this most expensive potato chips. Let me see if I can do without this. I can do that. And all of a sudden, he brings down his bill to $500. And the same is in the wine store. He goes into the wine store. If it's a credit card, he doesn't care. He takes down a bottle, $80, $90, $100 wine bottle, a tequila, $150. No matter. Boom. It's schmas the card is swiped. But if you pay it with cash and you have in your envelope left only $400 after your groceries or fish and meat, and you gotta buy wine, you start making the cheshbon. I'll go for a $25, a $30. For Yom Tov, I'll go for more expensive wine. But at this point, says mirgini gidei wine. So the Boisai, it is extremely, extremely important to the first stage of a person of thinking of putting away and start living is you have to start living with a cheshbon. You must start living with a cheshbon. And the easiest way to live a cheshbon is a cheshbon if you start living on cash. If you can't live on cash, there is many forms out there that you can get, budgeting forms. I was at a lecture, they gave out budgeting forms. I had Ingeman came into my office to speak to me, and he showed me an app on his phone. He has his budget, and he has $1,000 grocery a week. And I asked him, what do you have from a budgeting app if you put in groceries $1,000? You know you're not getting there, you don't have the money, and you budgeted $1,000. How are you doing it? So it's not only writing down the amounts you're spending, it's not only keeping tap of your budget, it's also understanding your budget, understanding the amount of money you're making, understanding the amount of money you're earning, understanding what you could afford, what you can't. I had a Koiling man called me up. He's 19 years in Koilel. His wife has a teaching job. She makes $500 to $600 a week. He gets from Koilel $100 a week. It's 19 years after the Chasana. He told me he has about $10,000 saved up. But out of $600 a week, he has a shtib mit kinderlich, and he was able to survive. And I asked him, how did you do that? So versteht sich, he had assistance. We're not going to go there. But he made a zach with his wife and kids. There is no such a thing as a grocery bill. Man schreibt nicht auf ein Grocery. Man schreibt nicht auf ein Bakery. Man schreibt nicht auf ein Fleischstore. There is no bills. There is money in the house. They live off whatever there is on the cards that they have in the public assistance. And whatever there is, the money that's left over after paying the rent, they have a low rent because they have assistance on the rent as well. So they have a low rent. Whatever is left over from the rent, or whatever is left over from the clothing, you can spend. We keep on the groceries and the an Geld and ladle. There is no money in the drawer. There is no more money left on that benefits card. We don't buy. We just don't buy. We buy what we must. Avada, milk, and all these kind of things. Milk and bread you buy. But you don't buy all kind of stuff that you don't need. This is called living with a cheshbon. And it's so important for the women and the men alike, everybody in the family, to understand. Today, because of the money have no value, because you live off the credit cards and you're so zermischt and zerflogen mit Geld, you still want to try to have a bargain. So let's put down a scenario of a Borough Park woman goes out in the street. She's in the street. She texts her husband, do me a favor. When you come home from work, go to Bingo, pick up 3 cases of seltzer, a case of paper goods, a case of cups, a case of napkins and whatever, like 10, 15 cases of stuff, because she's going to save $3 on a case. $3 on the seltzer, $4. She's going to save about $40 she's going to save on this whole order. Now, the single man has to schlep all these cases into his car from Bingo because there's no goyim that help you. You have to schlep it up the 3 floors. You have to schlep up the 3 floors yourself because there's nobody to help you. And you saved $40. At the same time that the woman sent him that text, she is standing in 13th Avenue store spending $300, $100 a pair of pants for a little kid, for a 3-year-old, or an outfit for a 5-year-old girl. She's spending $600, or a jacket for $800. At the same token, he saved $3 on the case, schlepped up 3 flights of steps. He schlepped up to save $3 on the case of seltzer, while she is in a store swiping a credit card for $300 schichlich and häuslich and kleidlich kaneinare gesinterheit verginnesen. But we're losing our consciousness. Mechabt nicht. Du will man saving Geld. Here you want to save money, and here you go out to the store. When I was a kid, I don't know if you people, whoever knows, remembers those times. It was in the 70s and the 80s. When I was a kid, everybody's shoes had a mouth. Okay, the sheich on the bottom, the Säulen, jedes sheich hat got am all. Jede Kinder gegangen, so you clap the Säulen. Bis man bekommen an Eipu sheich, till you got a new pair of shoes, wasn't every yontiv. Hand bis man for jede yontiv kaufen, 2 or 3 you brand new shoes to the kids, or outfits, weil sie schon nicht in style. Now, Gesinterheit, you could afford it. Gesinterheit, ich verginne es mit dem ganzen Herz. But you have to understand, there's going to come one day you're going to need real money. And if you're really not careful with your money, you will not have that money. When I was a kid, my pants, I didn't have a single pair of pants that did not have a patch. All my pants had a patch. There was no such a thing getting new pants just because. And there was no such a thing getting pants because it was on sale. Es hat sich ausgerieben, sie gegangen ist schon nicht gewähnt, bereit zu können gehen. It wasn't the pair of pants that you were able to wear. We got new pants. Now again and again, ich vergesse es für jeden. And you know, people tell me that I say these stories and I'm in pain. I'm not in pain about it, though. Baruch Hashem, something good is gefällt. And my kids are happy and I'm happy and everybody around me is happy. But you have to have in context. Because money is a zaira heilige Sach. In der kimmerige Parshas Kisisur, der Meilich sucht, a moirdige Wort. Es heißt, Zei Yitni, steht auf der Parsha macht es a Shekel, und so haben wir es gehabt jetzt in the last Parsha, we had it in Parsha Shkulim, this Shabbos, in gelein Parsha Shkulim, sucht der Meilich a feilige Wort, sucht in seinem Stickel dort, sucht Herr Eloi mat Baye shel Aish, der Eibestrug gewissen von Moshe Rabbeinu mat Baye shel Aish, sucht der Meilich, was heißt da mat Baye shel Aish, ein Pshat für der Meilich, sucht that all the money that a person has comes mit Tachas Kisa HaKuvet, all the money. Everything was beschaffen, es liegt in Tachas Kisa Kovet. And Kisa Kovet is a fire, it's a flaket of fire. If you're going to use the money, you're supposed to use it. It's a fire could burn you, fire could warm you. Aish mechamamas, aish sarfesoy. If you don't use the money the way you're supposed to use your money, it's going to burn you. And if you use it the way you're supposed to use it, it's going to heat you. That means fire you can cook, with fire you could burn. Rabbi say Geld is a holy thing. Money is a real holy thing. It's metachas kisa kuvet. And we are all a shoymer sucher. We have to watch on our money. The Rebbe hat uns gegeben Geld, and we have to be very careful with it. And if you're not careful with your money and the day comes and you have to marry off your child and then you go out and you say, ich kann nicht kein Geld, man darf mir zusammenstellen Geld, sollst du wissen, dass du bist der Poishaya, als du bist Chayev, weil du bist auch viele Chayev bei uns, and you can't say that du es nicht gewiss, man hat nicht gesucht. So it's so important to understand the value of money on a daily basis, how we shop, how we spend, how we live our life. So the Zgila is try to live on cash, this way you'll be able to have control of your money. And even if you get a credit card and you use a credit card, be extremely cautious, write down your expenses, start having cheshbon. And once you will have cheshbon on your money, you'll have control of your money, you will be able to be budgeted and try to make your ends meet to be able to continue life. The next part I want to go into part number 2, which is how do you put away money? Chassan zu machen Kinder. So once we establish that money is a very holy thing, a very sacred thing, and we have to really watch on our money, and we have to be very careful with how money we spend, now we know how, once we have the money, we're going to talk how to save money. Rabbi say, I'm talking small money. People think, wegzulegen Geld, auf Chassan machen, darf man weglegen riesige Gelder. You have to put away huge monies. It's not true. It's small money, but it has to start from when the child is born. Today's days to marry off a child, whoever married off a child knows this. Today's days to marry off a couple is $250,000. The boy said, listen again. To marry off a couple is $250,000. You'll make it with kunas, you'll do it for $200,000. That's $100,000 each side, between clothing, the chasana, the hall, the music, the stramlach, the jewelry. Now, someone asked me, why don't you talk a little bit, the oilim not to spend too much money for the chasanas? There is no way I can talk about it. First of all, ich bin nicht von die Rabunim, wo seine gemacht darauf. I understand people are not willing to change. We had a COVID, we thought we were going to have a reset. We started making small chasanas, no invitations, just invited the immediate family. They said, oh, finally we're having a reset. What happened? A year passed, there was COVID money, there was all big ashpuz in the world. We forgot. What do you mean we forgot about it? Today's days we have all purple lights, pink lights, with dacheblim and azachedus, outfits, stramlich bis the himmel. It's like bananas. We're going crazy. But for me to say don't spend it, I cannot tell you that. Gesinterheit. You want to do it, Gesinterheit. Aber nicht auf jenem's Cashman. So I'm going to say, how can you get to put away to have $100,000 for a child? Bezras Hashem is Burech. I want to make it very clear. It's not a guarantee. It's a suggestion. It might work, it might not work. Most probably, according to history, it will work. But definitely, if you don't do it, for sure it will not work. So what I'm talking is putting away $5 a day. That's 5 days a week. Comes out to $25 a week. 4 weeks a month is $100 a month per child. That's $5 a day, $100 per month. It's $1,200 a year. If you put away for 20 years in an index fund like the S&P 500, you will have Bezras Hashem Yisburach anywhere between $80,000 to $100,000. The S&P 500 has produced an average of a 10% annual return for the past 20 years. True, from 2000 till 2010 it was kind of even or in a minus. From 2010 till 2020 it was 20% or 30% and plus, and when you average it, you come out to a 10% average annual return. I am strictly speaking about putting in money in the long term, not in the short term. If anybody helped me what's happening in the market the last week, market is crashing. All the profits that was accumulated from November till now is basically gone. For a person that sells his position now, it's gone. But for a person that sits tight and understands that this is the way, this is the mahalach, it goes, Be'ezus Hashem Yisburach, it's going to turn around and it's going to go back up and it's going to make back all of it that it lost plus. The stock market in America never went to zero. In the 1920s, it lost 80% of its value. The next biggest crash was in 2008, where it lost 35 or 38% in its value. But if a person put in money in 2006, and in 2008 he saw his money down at 50%, let's say he put on $100,000, and it went down to $50,000, if he sold then his position, he lost $50,000. But if he sat tight till 2014, he already doubled his money. Not lost 50%, but he already doubled his money. So of course you're gonna have waves. This is the way it works. It's waves, and we have to be very strong and very disciplined. Man darf verstehen, das ist nicht eine Sache, was man geht daran, man geht da raus, man kauft Shares, in Tretes, hand es herup, kauf ich, hand es herauf, kauf ich nicht. This is not the way I work. My mahalach is you have to open up an account in a brokerage firm like Fidelity.com. You open up an account for each child. You start putting in $25 a week, $5 a day. You set it up on a weekly at $25 a week for every child for 20 years. And it has to go steady. Not when I have the money I put, and when I don't have the money I don't put. You have to set it up steady. $5 a day, that's $25 a week in the account, automatic withdrawal from your bank account. It goes into your account. Be'ez Hashem Yisburach, you'll get the chasana machen as the unkommen zwischen $80,000 and $100,000. There's another mahalach right now, it's the beginning of the year, the oilum got to the tax earn credit. If you take $10,000 from this money, I know everybody already has their own cheshbonis, what they're going to do with this $10, $15, $12, $15, $18,000 that they're getting back. If either it's country or it's bar mitzvah or it's whatever it is, you have cheshbonis you're going to do with this money. If you take $10,000 from this money and you put it in on a mutual fund, on an index fund of the S&P 500, that we spoke about this 10%. So let me explain you. When you put in money on an average compound interest of 10%, your average to double your money, you should be able to double it every 7 years. The rule is the 72 rule, whoever knows the rule. If you double your money, if you get 10% compounding interest, you will double your money every 7 years. So let's say if you take now $10,000 from the income tax credit that you're getting now, $10,000, and you take that money, you put it into a fund. Let's say your son's name is Moishi. Moishi's born this year. You put it into Moishi's account. When Moishi turns 7, the $10,000 becomes 20. When Moishi turns 14, a year after his bar mitzvah, the 20 turns to 40. When Moshe turns 21, which is another 7 years later, from the 40 becomes 80. Rabbi Say, you hear well, $10,000 today will give you $80,000 be'ezus Hashem Yisburich by the time you marry off your child. So there's two mahalchim. Either you take a big chunk at the beginning, you put it in, and you don't have to do anything on a monthly, and if you could, add because it's going to help you, or you do it on a monthly base. But it's definitely something that must be taken care of, Rabbi Say. It's so important. Unfortunately, 70% of Klal Yisrael today's days in the Hasidic Haimische community cannot go to the Chippah Berchuvas Hadas. I would say 50%, if you're going to ask the Askunim, stellt man zusammen Geld. 50%. I was in Besmedrushim, I gave drushes, and they told me in this Besmedrush, everybody that married off their child is gegangen noch Geld. It's not a joke. So I fragt mich einer, I have 5, 6, 7 children, how do I have money to put away every month? So the answer to this question is a very simple one. In Yetz Hashem, this kid is going to be 19, 20, you're going to do a shidduch. You need $100,000. How will you have that $100,000? Right now you don't have. You have to somehow make some kind of cheshbonis. What should I do? How should I adjust my life to have that money to put away? But how will you have that $100,000? And don't say, all these eminim betuchen kind of things that you say that's without hand and feet. If you're sitting on a certain job, on a certain position, and you're only earning a certain amount of money, you can't say that Eibishter wird mich schon helfen. Of course the Eibishter wird helfen. Of course it's going to come to the Eibishter helfen. The question is, the Eibishter got to helfen with the way that people will megain noch Geld vater, mit der Zusammenstellen Geld, or will it be a way that these allein kennen erlauben von sich mit das Geld? In der Boise, wenn ein Mensch kommt durch Hasse zu machen, und do this Geld, he has the money in his drawer. There is a chuvas hadas in Stieb, there is shon bias in the Stieb, there's no fights, there's no arguments, there's no disagreements and stuff. Gesinterheit, you have the money, you spend it. But when you don't have the money, ask anybody that got to the simcha, when there's no money in the house, everything becomes an issue. Every dress, every jewelry, every piece, every item becomes an issue. There's fights on a daily basis in the ganze simcha system. So again, to reiterate, $5 a day, which is a coffee and a Danish, costs more than $5 a day. $5 a day, child. The Haddingeman told me that he used to drive down 14th Avenue, stop in the gas station, buy breakfast every day for $20, $14, $15. Order Uber lunch in his office. The Kevin said he spent the day about $50 in food on between breakfast and lunch, takeout food. Okay? $50 a day. It is 18 years of the Chassan, he's 18 years of the Chassan. Hat a kind for Shidichem, he told me, Mandy, I do not have $1 in my account. And he says to himself, stupid me. I take this $50 that I spent a day, I put it in. Can you imagine how much money this is? Let's make a cheshbon. $1, every dollar per month for 20 years. Listen well. Every dollar per month for 20 years is $1,000 in 20 years. $10 a month for 20 years is $10,000. $100 per month for 20 years is $100,000. $200 is $200,000. $500 a month is $500,000. $1,000 a month, if you put away, you have $1 million in 20 years. This is huge money. Take this Ingeman spent $50 a day on his breakfast and lunch. That's $250 a week. That's $1,000 a month. He spent for his breakfast and lunch $1,000 a month. Would he have put it away for 20 years, he would have $1 million. Hast du mich fragen, but he needs breakfast and lunch? True. Do the way into the side of some getin. There you buy a loaf of bread in the house anyways for the kids. You send off the kids to school. You have a loaf of bread and cream cheese and peanut butter, whatever you put on for your kids, put on for yourself. Make yourself a sandwich. Let the woman prepare for the man a sandwich for breakfast and for lunch. And if you have time, come home from shul, sit down with your wife, have a geschmack breakfast over there, a nice scrambled egg, make your own scrambled egg and a bread, and you will not spend $50 a day on your $200 a day on a week on your, or $250. So that's the way he called me lebt mit der Chesh, me hype und trachten, me weiß es mit dir. Now me lebt mit der Chesh, me hype und zusammenstellen das Geld. I can promise you, Everybody that will make a cheshbon nefesh will find that $5, that $10, that $20 a day that he can put away in a mutual fund where he can marry off his children. And now I'll go into the item from the third, which is Saiva Toiva retirement. It's called IRA or Roth IRA. Everybody has to ask their account what's better for them. But unfortunately, today's days, there is so many elder people that do not have any money. The kids have to give them money. There is malamdim, agedishirim, rabunim, people that had jobs. Mit gearbeitet azoi, mit gearbeitet azi, mit geworden batzult auf jenem slummen, auf dem slummen. No social security was accumulated, and unfortunately, they do not have any money for retirement. Rabbi said this is not for everybody. I'm not saying everybody could do it. Avad is chayshu more important. Avad is the importance more, at the time being at the moment. So you should have enough money for now. But if you can somehow chip off a couple $100 a month, I'm not talking big money, couple $100 a month, put in a retirement fund as well in the S&P 500. By the time you'll reach 65, you'll have $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. It depends on your age when you start, and it's huge money, and you're going to need the money. You'll need money for Shevebruchsen, for all kind of stuff that you need. So if you could afford it, make sure, think about putting away. If you have a business, you can do 401k. If you don't have a business, you can do the IRA, Roth IRA. Speak to your accountant what's the most important, what's the best for you. But it's definitely very important for you to open up a retirement fund. The next part is El-Harangain in life insurance. This is the final chapter. My final chapter about life insurance is, Rabbi Sai, you believe it or not, junge Menschen starben on a daily basis. Unfortunately, jeden zweiten Tag hat man der gestorben plötzlich, der ist weggefallen. I can tell it to you on my eigene Pleitze. Ich got a brother, 44 year old, 44-year-old brother passed away, plötzlich passed, fell down, and he was gone, left over an Almuna mit Ratsin. There was no charity funds, there was no internet at those times. It was 20 years ago. We had to go out, we had to go out from shul to put together a fund, a fund for the Almunas, whom can machen the kinderlich. You know, and we felt like schnorrers for no reason. And Mekendes Farmaden, we could eliminate this issue, literally eliminate this issue. It is a chayv kudish for every person that is married, has a wife and children, should make life insurance. And the life insurance should be term. I am talking about term life insurance, not whole life insurance. Term life insurance for a 25-year-old for $1 million is about $30 to $40 a month. For a 30-year-old, it's about $40 to $50. It goes up like this by the ages, but it's bupkis. Rabbi said it's bupkis. It's small money. If a person has a wife and 4 children, it means he has to have $2.5 million insurance coverage. If he doesn't have a $2.5 million insurance coverage, is it a peshaya? You must have life insurance because junge Menschen starben. Geiz a Shilaran, look in Shila, how many old people do you see? You hardly see old people. You know why? Because most old people are gone. Me stardem is jung. Het is me zoekt, me leef is 120. Rabbi say 120 is a scam. Nobody lives to 120. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get to 120, almost 120. Most people, an average lifespan, as the Melech sucht and tell him, if you reach 70 or 80, you're a winner. 90, you're in a wheelchair already. So Rabbi say, yes, you have to be protected when you're young, and don't think for tomorrow. You have to do it today. There's something like Arrivim. Arrivim is a very good thing. It's $40 a month, and it covers $150,000 per person in the family, and you can take it out of tzedukah. It's very important. Now, people, I'm not going to go into huge details, the differences between the S&P 500 and life insurance. There's a lot of things to talk. It can take hours and hours and hours. We can go on and on and on to speak about how to the right investments to do. But whatever you want to decide to do, you should do. You must do it. It's very important, Rabbi Isai. Very, very important, all these topics. Be careful on your money. Watch your money. Save up from the maschasene. Mach sure dass der Wege like the retirement fund if you can afford it. and be sure that you're covered in life insurance. It's a minimum shuba minimum that you must have to be covered $400,000 to $500,000 per child. In Macha life insurance on the woman as well. Something for Tzayat German. He was in his 30s. He didn't have a life insurance policy. His wife was a teacher. He passed away plitzling in school. He had no life insurance. His wife had no life insurance. He had to bring in a cook. He had to bring in cleaning ladies. He had to bring in people to help him in the house. He couldn't go out, work normal. He couldn't make normal money. Zerrissen geworden auf Stücke. And then he told me he got remarried and she came in with children. He has his children. Together they have children. She has children. Macht 3 Gassen sayur. Und man hat es schon wie zu verzogen. Pushet was nicht kein life insurance. Es nicht gewinnt can set up any savings. My number one question that I'm being asked since I started my speeches is wie bist du gewinnt 20 Jahre zurück? Where were you 20 years ago to tell me this information? So whoever is young in the 20s, know it's your prime time. In the 30s, you can still hop on the wagon. In the 40s, there is still time for you as well. And der Eibste helfen everybody, jeder einer soll kennen, umkommen, zu Gassen machen, die Kinder, berchuvige Deule, easy, Gringerheit. I will open up the lines to be able to ask questions. I will try to answer questions one by one as best as I can. And I will unmute the phones now.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Whoever wants...
To mute conference participants, press 1. To mute all participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Whoever wants to ask a question, you can unmute yourself by pressing #6.